Thank you very much, Mr. Harrison. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to now launch right into our alternating rounds of 7-minute questions, and I will begin that. At the outset, I want to address something briefly that I mentioned briefly in my opening statement, and that is that I and many of my colleagues are concerned about anti-conservative bias at Google and on some other online platforms. Earlier this year, I expressed grave concern and had grave concern upon learning that Google reportedly had banned the conservative website, The Federalist, from monetizing its content through Google Ads. I want to be clear here that a private company engaging in censorship on its own platform is not a violation of antitrust laws. Nevertheless, as I pointed out in my letter to your company on this subject, isn't this behavior evidence of market power? In other words, why would any company want to treat its customers that way, unless it was confident that its customers had no viable alternative? Can you help me understand that?
Thank you, Senator. Just a couple quick points. One, the Federalist, and there were some comments made in your opening statement and in Senator Klobuchar's opening statement about there being a lack of choice. Publishers like the Federalist have many choices on how they can monetize their content. The Federalist actually uses 30 different tools, publisher-side tools, to help it monetize its content, and so it has many choices if it's unhappy with how we're providing our services. In the example that you're talking about, we have to have clear policies about how we show our advertisements, and most advertisers do not want their content to show up, or their advertisements to show up next to harmful content. In the case of the Federalist had comment boards that had commentary in it, some of which our systems made clear was racist commentary. And we've been clear in our policies that our ads can't show up next to that kind of commentary. We did try to work with the Federalist, and there are a bunch of options available to a company in this situation. First of all, they can not have a comment section. Secondly, they can moderate their comment section to take out comments that violate our ads policies. Or third, they can do a click-through, and there are many large publishers like the New York Times that have a click-through on their comment section, so they don't show ads on the section in which their comment appears.
You're not suggesting that the Federalist and its management are racist?
No, not at all. I'm saying that—
You're talking solely about the commentary, about their obligation that you'd like to see them have to moderate the commentary on their site. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
This is what I find ironic. I mean, ironic, some would say maybe hypocritical. Google justifies deplatforming a website from its ad platform, here, the Federalist, because of content not by the site itself, that the site itself has produced, but because of content on the site's comments section. Well, Google insists that the protections it receives under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act are essential to shield it from liability from its own users' content. Now, how is that not a double standard? And again, isn't the fact that Google feels bold enough to act this way evidence that it perhaps doesn't feel competition? Doesn't feel threatened, even potentially, by any competition?
Senator, first of all, no, there is no allegation that the Federalist is racist. I think that any large platform has comment sections, and those comment sections can contain bad comments. Those are comments that users have uploaded to the system. First of all, you mentioned Section 230. Section 230 is helping many publishers deal with the fact that they shouldn't be legally responsible for the comments that are uploaded to their system. And so Section 230 is a helpful part of making sure that that publishers and platforms can stay operating even in a world where they may have comment sections and people can upload those comment sections. Secondly, we have these same problems on YouTube. YouTube has comment sections. Sometimes those comment sections contain language that violates our own policies, and we have systems that capture this. We have systems that can remove hundreds of millions of comments before anyone's seen this, machine learning and human flags that make sure that these comments are taken down, that they're removed. And I think we capture almost 99% of comments before they are read. Again, we can work with sites like the Federalist and many others to make sure they also adopt moderation policies that make sure that these comments continue to operate in according with their policy. They do have options. And by the way, they don't only have options in terms of how to monitor, how to maintain their comment boards. They have options to go to other advertising solutions if they think that our solutions aren't working. Most publishers use between 4 and 7 different publisher tools to sell their advertising. The Federalist, I believe, uses almost 30 different tools to sell its advertising. And so it has many
I'm glad to know that. I'm glad to know that. But you don't dispute that you are a significant part of this. And I still, unless I'm misunderstanding you, I still don't think you've answered my question. Isn't there a double standard? Like, what? Help me understand why Google should be entitled to that sort of deference, but you're not willing to give that sort of deference to someone else, to another firm that you have just acknowledged isn't racist, doesn't sponsor those sorts of things, but people sometimes comment on those sites, I don't know, perhaps to get them excluded from Google's platform. Is that possible?
Senator Lee, we didn't, it's often referred to that we demonetized or we took away the Federalist's ability to make money. We did not do that. The Federalist was free to use our services in order to continue to generate money off the content that it shows. And we want to help the Federalist continue to make money off the content it shows. They just need to make sure that their comment section is moderated. I don't think any advertiser, and I don't think you would want any advertiser to see their advertisement showing up to next to content that they don't agree with or that's objectionable or offensive. And so all our and by the way, we apply these policies to our own sites as well. To the extent that that this type of content is a risk of showing up at other platforms, then they need to comply with our policies in order to show advertising.
Okay, I'd love to turn back to 230 later, but and again, this isn't directly relevant to the antitrust inquiry itself, but it's indicative of it. This is how a company behaves when it senses, perhaps correctly, that it doesn't have meaningful competition. Now, Mr. Harrison, moving on to another point, if I'm an advertiser placing an ad using Google's ad technology, it's my understanding that Google doesn't tell me how much the publisher is receiving for displaying my ad or how much money from each advertising dollar Google might be keeping for itself. It seems like that might be frustrating for an advertiser who's trying to figure out whether or not she's getting a good deal and consider comparison shopping. Will you set the record straight today and explain where each advertiser dollar goes that's spent on Google's ad platform?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Senator. And I point out to the committee, and happy to share this, that we did recently publish 2 blogs that clarified both how fees work both with the news industry and then generally across the ad tech ecosystem. But let me address both. First of all, for news publishers, and this is an area that we really got into ad tech in order to support open ecosystems. Google is a search engine. We benefit with vibrant, bright ecosystems where people need to look for information. Not only is that a benefit to the ecosystem, but it's a benefit to us because we help people find information. But we got into ad tech to start providing these to publishers. We care deeply, specifically about the news industry. We work closely with them. We recognize that they're going through a hard evolution in their business model right now, and we have a lot of projects to try to help them, including the GNI, which is a $300 million effort on our part to help the news industry. We also have a massive investment in the tools that help them monetize their content and products that help them get subscribers. When it comes to the tools to monetize their content, which was your question, I want to note that they keep almost 95 cents of every dollar that they earn from advertisers, mainly for 2 reasons. One, they can sell that advertisements directly, and usually mostly they sell almost 75% of their advertisements directly. And when they do that, they pay very, very small fees to use our systems. A lot of people use our serving tools. We're happy that it's a popular product, but we charge very, very small amounts of money to use that product. Then with the portion that they sell programmatically, what we call programmatically, where where they use both of our ad side tools as well as our publisher side tools, they can pay anywhere from 70%, they receive, 70% or more of the income from their advertisements. And when you bundle these things together, they keep 95 cents on the dollar. When it comes to the broader ecosystem outside of news publishers, we've done a full analysis of our tools. And I want to be clear, this is all aspects of our tools. This is if an advertiser chooses to use our ad side products, and then a publisher chooses to use our publisher side products, and also our ad exchange is used to connect those 2 points. In those situations, publishers keep more than 69% of the revenue, and that's above the industry average, which is around 67%.
Okay, thank you. We've got to move on to Senator Hawley now. I will note that sharing how fees work isn't the same as transparency for the users on the actual bids. They know they keep 95%, but they don't know of what. They don't know what the advertiser bid, nor do they know what Google takes out of that bid. So we might want to get back to that later. In the meantime, we'll go to Senator Hawley.